So we were discussing about superelevation. So what I told you, there is a general equation E plus F is equal to V square divided by 127 R. If you are writing 127, this should be in kilometer per hour and this is in meters. Okay, E and F is not having any unit. Now, for calculating the superelevation, in the question if they are asking you simply calculate the superelevation. If the data is raising of the outer edge and the pavement width, we can use E by B. Or if the data is for speed and radius and all, then we will use V square by 225R. How I got that V square by 225R? Because we are going to assume that F is equal to 0. Why we are assuming? Just to be more safe. In the design, we will go for the conservative side generally. That's why we were using F is equal to 0. And to consider all types of vehicles, that is to consider the mixed traffic condition, means the heterogeneous traffic condition, we are only taking 75% of design speed. Okay, if you are taking the highest, the maximum or the design speed, the slope will be very high. That's why we are taking only 75%. And very important point we studied, after calculating this V square by 225R, the maximum value is equal to 7%, or I can write 0.07. That you should note down. After calculating, if it is going more than 0.07, we have to limit the value as 0.07. There is a concept called as minimum value that we don't require that while solving the question, because the given data, whenever we are taking the data, the value will be more than camber value only, but we need this concept also somewhere. I will discuss there. Okay, whenever they are telling E minimum is equal to camber value. Okay, so remember those points. Now try to do this question now, which you can see on this screen. Just try to do it. A rod of design speed 80 km per hour has a horizontal curve of radius 480 meter. Then calculate the superelevation to be provided on this curve. Yes, good. So calculate the superelevation to be provided. See, they are giving all the options in percentage. After calculating, you will be getting in some ratio. You have to type it in percentage. Given the options, all the options are in percentage. So which option you are going to select? That's it. Yes, that's it. Very good. So they are asking you superelevation. So I have to use V square by 225R. Correct now? So 80 square by 225 into given radius in meter. If you are calculating, you will get 0.059. So they have given the options in percentage. Very good. So I am writing it as 5.9%. That's it. Getting that? Very easy question. Okay. Sometimes they may ask you very easy question. Sometimes it may be tricky also. Let's see. Do this question now. What you have to note down? If they are asking you superelevation, we always have to use the V square by 225R equation. Okay. In case they are telling you to assume F is equal to 0.15, then we will use the general equation. But they are not telling you to assume the value. They are simply giving the value. But we are going to assume that the given 0.15 is not helping us. Okay. Is it B or A? Both options I am getting. Is it option B or option A? Or if it is C or D? Okay. So superelevation equation E is equal to V square by 225R only. Okay, because they didn't tell us to assume F is acting. Okay. So what is the value of speed? 60 kmph, 150 meter radius. 60 square by 225 into 150. So you will be getting a value of 0.106. So that is equal to 10.6%. So is it option B? Is it option B? Your final answer? Your final answer cannot be option B, because the value which we are going to provide is 7% only. We will not be providing a value more than 7%. Okay, that is the concept as per IRC. So if you are getting something more than 7% or 0.07, we have to limit the value. Why we have to limit? If you are putting some more slope, 10.6% slope, then it is going to affect so many vehicles. They may topple towards the inner side. Understood? So those who have got 10.6 and option B, you mark it that, just highlight like this, then write it as 7%. Okay. And one more thing is there. This Emax is 7% actually for Emax is equal to 7%. It is actually for some plain terrain. Okay. It should be a plain terrain. Or if it is a hilly terrain, for hilly terrain, we'll take Emax is equal to 10%. But by default, if you are not telling whether it is a hilly terrain or plain terrain, we'll take it as 7%. We are assuming that it is a plain area or it is a plain terrain. Okay? Why not using general equation? Why we have to use the general equation? I told you to use this equation only. Okay? When you need general equation? Only for calculating F value, V value and R value. What is written here? For calculating E value, we will use those two equations only. That's what IRC told, to be more conservative side of design. If you want to calculate F value, V value or R value, then only we are going to use the general equation. So you got some value 0.07. Now this value we may be substituting there to calculate other values in case for other some questions. Okay, we'll see. Some questions we'll use general equation. We'll see. In case if they are giving you to calculate a super elevation, we are going to use this equation only unless they are telling you assume f is equal to some value. Here they didn't tell us to assume the value. They have given f is equal to 0.15. Yes, that we know. But we are assuming that f is not going to act. Even though f is equal to 0.15, we are assuming that f is not acting. That is f value we are taking 0. That's why we are using the direct formula. Understood? Some question I will see you. I will show you how to use the general equation and all. Okay? Everyone is getting? So the final answer will be 0.07. Option A will be the correct answer. Okay? Why if it is hilly but 10%? If it is hilly, if they are mentioning that in the question it is 10%, then the value will be 10. Okay, if it is going beyond. Okay, that's what I am telling. Emax equal to 7% or it can be 10% also. That is 0.1. When it will be 10%, if they are giving that, it is a hilly terrain. If they are not giving anything in the question, by default, it is a plain area, which means the value is 7%. Understood? If by default, if they are not giving anything in the question, it is a plain area, which means it is maximum value 0.07. If it is given that it is a hilly area, then the maximum value is 10%. If you are using 0.7, because it is going beyond 0.7, that's why every time you will not get the right answer. Okay, that's it. So write this question. Take this question. See, in this question they have given something new, something they have given in the bracket. What they have given? If full lateral friction is assumed to develop. Previously we were assuming that F is equal to 0. Friction force is there 0.15, but we are assuming it is not going to develop. So we are taking F is equal to 0. But here they have given a condition in the bracket. What is that? Assume full lateral friction is developing. Which means which equation you have to use? Is that the direct equation or the general equation? Which equation you will use? Correct answer I also don't know. I will calculate it. Which equation you are going to use? Is that the general equation? Is that the general equation or is that the direct equation? Maximum to maximum I can give only 7%. After calculating I am getting more than 7%. Which means this much I cannot be provided. Maximum to maximum I can give only 7%. That's why we have taken 7%. Okay? Yes, very good. So in this case, we have to use the general equation because they told that you cannot simply assume f is equal to 0. It is not that condition. We have to assume f is equal to 0.15 itself, which means we have to use the general equation. There is no case of 75% nothing. We have to use the general equation only. Okay? So if I am using the general equation, what I am going to get? Just calculate. I am also not having the answer. So E plus F is equal to V square by 127R. So if you are calculating how much you are going to get, you have to use the E plus 0.15 is equal to what is the speed value? 60 km per hour. 60 square by 127 into radius is given 120 meter. So how much you are going to get the value of E? Just calculate it. You will be getting 0.086 na? So 0.086. See, here also you are getting more than 7% na? But for general equation there is no such condition. This 7% is for what? For this condition. Okay, always remember that if you are using the general equation, if they are asking you the final answer, we are putting 0.86. Okay, 0.086. In this longitudinal friction, the coefficient of friction what? Is this longitudinal? No, it is coefficient, the superelevation why you are giving? They are giving it for side, na? For resisting the skidding and overturning and all. So this F will be coefficient of lateral friction. Okay, not the longitudinal friction. Then what about the other answers? Just check it. How much you are getting? Getting the answer? What is the second part? And the value of coefficient of friction needed if no superelevation is provided. If no superelevation is provided, then what you have to do? Coefficient of friction only have to calculate, which means definitely have to use the general equation. So 0 plus F is equal to 60 square divided by 127 into 120. Then what will be your F value? Calculate 60 square by 127 divided by 120. 0.236 according to the option, approximately equal to 0.24. Correct na? 0.23 according to option. 0.24 I am getting. So option C you will get. Correct na? See, one more thing is there, you remember. In case if they are giving you some camber value in the question. In case if they are giving you some camber value in the question, what you have to do? You have to take the minimum value as camber value. If they are not giving you any value, then we are going to assume it at 0 only. Okay? But in case if they are giving, assume superelevation is 0. We don't have to provide any superelevation. But assume superelevation is 0 means 0 only. Some questions may appear, they may give that no superelevation is required. If superelevation is not required also, there is a minimum slope. What is that value? Camber value. So in case if they are giving you the camber value in the question, then we have to take that camber value instead of 0. I will show you some question like that. Okay? That's what I told. There are a lot of chance of misleading you. Okay? They will simply ask you the question. Question may be very simple, but simply by using few words, the answer is going to be changed. What is the change here? They have given in the bracket if full lateral friction is assumed to develop. That's why we were taking the general equation. If that sentence is not there, then we are going to assume that 0.15 is there, but we are going to assume it is not going to act. Then we are going to take the design superelevation. Then finally we have to check whether the design superelevation value, I can call this as E design or design superelevation. Okay? For designing only we are assuming 0 and 75% and all. Then finally you have to check the limit also. If you are using the general equation, we will use as it is whatever they are giving the value of friction and all in the question. It may not be always 0.15. Okay? But the maximum to maximum it can be 0.15 only for design. We will not take more than that. Okay? Understood how to solve it? Now do this question. calculate the ruling radius. Ruling radius is nothing but if you are putting the design speed, correspondingly what radius you are going to get, that is the ruling radius. Okay, simply one name. See why we have to limit the value? Because if we are giving that much, it is going to affect the vehicles, some slow moving vehicles. Here what we are checking, what may be the super elevation required. We are not going to give this value on the road. We are going to give the value based on design. Why we are designing? For giving. This is just we are calculating how much may be the required value. That's it. Okay. What we are going to provide on the road is based on design only. That's why we are assuming F is equal to 0, 75% we are taking. Practically we will get some advantage. For designing purpose, for providing, we are going to take the design value only, V square by 225R. That's why we need some maximum. This is a theory concept. This value we are not going to give on the road. That's why we are not checking what is the maximum limit and all. Okay? This is a theory concept. What a super elevation you are going to give on the road, it completely depends on the design super elevation, the design step. That's why we assumed F is, you are not getting any help from the friction and all. That value only we are using for our design purposes. This is simply the general equation that we use for F, V and R and all. Okay? Simply they are asking if you are assuming how much may be the value. That's it. But for design purpose, we are assuming F is equal to 0. We will not assume that full lateral friction is provided. Okay? Just for your practice. Calculate this question. If they are asking you the radius, then which equation you have to use? We have to use the general equation. For F value, for V value, for R value, we have to use the general equation. Only for super elevation concept designing, we are using that direct equation. Correct now? Yeah, very good. So E plus F is equal to V square divided by 127R. They are asking you what is this R? So V square upon 127 E plus F. See, the value of E is also not given, F is also not given. Like that they can ask you a tough question. For those who don't know what is the limit, for those who don't know what is F value for design, they will not be able to solve the question. Okay? So 100 square divided by 127. If they are not giving, either it can be 0.07 or it can be 0.1. But they have given in the question that it's a plain terrain. If they are giving it's a plain terrain, it will be 7%. If they are giving that it's a hilly terrain, it will be 10%. Okay? That's why they have not given the value of E, but they told which terrain it is. Okay? So 0.07 plus 0.15. That value you should remember. It's a previous gate question also. What is that value? Okay? So if you are calculating according to the option, approximately you are going to get 360 meter. Getting option B? Understood when we are going to use the general equation, when we are using this equation and all. They are asking you radius and all, definitely we have to use the general equation. Okay? Just for your knowledge, I will tell you one more thing. If it is a national highway or state highway, and if it is a plain terrain, in case if you are not seeing what is the speed, what you have to do? You can assume that it is 100. Okay, for a national highway or for a state highway, generally for a plain terrain, the design speed is taken as 80 to 100 kmph. Okay, the minimum design speed we have to design for 80, or the maximum value will take it as 100. So in case if you are not seeing the speed value, they will not give questions like that. Simply I am telling. In case if you are not seeing the speed, you can assume that it is 100 km per hour. If it is a national highway or a state highway in a plain terrain. Okay, the least design speed is this, maximum design speed is this. So you can assume the value as 100 km per hour. Okay, so do this question now. See, these are the recommendations of IRC. Okay, what is the speed and all. In case if they are not given, in gate exam definitely they will give you. Okay. Why we consider lateral friction? In the general equation, lateral friction is there. That's why we have to consider. We are using the general equation, na? In the question F is there, na? That's why we are considering. Only for designing the super elevation, we are assuming F is equal to 0. In all other cases, in general equation, F is there, so we have to consider F value. For design purpose, we are going to take 0.15. That's it. Okay? Understood why we have taken F value? It's super elevation. Now, why we are giving super elevation? It is something happening in the side. That's why we are using lateral friction. If it is something stopping the vehicle or something, in that friction, then we will take longitudinal friction. Okay? The skid is resisted by frictional force, na? Side friction. So it is lateral. In this case, what they are asking, the design speed of a road is given. What should be the radius of a horizontal curve if maximum design super elevation is provided? Okay, which means it is 0.07 is the E value. What you have to calculate? Radius. Again, radius you have to calculate, which means again super elevation. Okay, this is also the same question, na? Yeah, same question instead of, that's it. Same question, na? 360 meter. Another way of asking question, yeah, 360. Okay, just practice, that's it. 0.15. Another way of asking question, that's all. 360 meter getting? Okay, already we have calculated, na? Now, write down this question. It is another way of asking question. Let's see how to solve that question. First, write down the question. Now see, there are two parts for this question. Huh? If the pavement is rotated about inner edge and the pavement is rotated about center, you might have already studied in your college. What is the difference between the two? I told you either we can, see we are going to raise the outer edge. Correct now? So we are going to raise the outer edge and finally we will be making the road something like this. Okay? So this much is I am rising. Okay? The same inclination, the same slope I can give. How? If I am rotating about the center line also. Just for better understanding I am drawing here. If this is your horizontal line. Okay? Second. So this is your horizontal plane. Now what you are going to do? We are going to give the inclination, right? So if this is the pavement width, I am just going to raise it and I am going to make it something like this. Okay, this is my road. The same inclination I can give. What I can do? Instead of simply raising the outer edge, about the center point I am going to half, I am going to see now. Half I am going to put above the surface, half I am going to put below the surface. So we have to dig some portion here. So about the center portion also we can give, so that whatever be the required raising, E, half of the value we are going to give here, E by 2, half of the value we are going to here, E by 2. So like that in two ways we can give, na? But practically we will not give the second case. Practically we are going to give just about the inner edge, outer edge will be raised, E by B. This is what we are going to do. Okay, understood? There are two cases. Okay, both are possible, but practically we will not give this case because it is something below the ground level, na? So we cannot give below the ground level, so that when rain is happening, the water may go and accumulate in that position. It's something we are digging and giving some portion below the ground. Okay? So practically we will give this only. Now, what they are asking? They are giving you the speed, they are giving you the radius, everything. Finally, they are asking how much should be that raising with respect to ground level. Correct na? About the inner edge. Okay. Now see, if they are asking you what is the raising, only one equation we are having, E is equal to E by B. This is our equation. Correct na? E is equal to E by B. So we have to calculate what is that E. Capital E is simply nothing but super elevation into width of the pavement. Width of the pavement is directly given as 8 meter, but we don't know what is small e, the rate of super elevation. Then what we can use? We are having one more equation. What is that? V square by 225R for calculating E value. So using the equation V square by 225R, I can calculate the value of E and I can substitute then I will be getting the raising. Correct now? So if you are calculating V square by 225R, how much you are getting? 85 square by 225 divided by 300. Correct now? You will be getting 0.107. Can I use 0.107 here? Can I use that value? Can I use that value 0.107? Absolutely not. Because it is going beyond our limit. Which is our limit? Either it can be 7% or it can be 10%. Whether they have given the terrain? Yes, they have given that it is a plain terrain. Which means it is 7%. Okay? Then we have to limit it as 0.07. In case the obtained value is less than 7%, then what you have to do? Then we will take as it is. Okay? After calculating the value, if it is coming less than 7%, then we have to use the obtained value only. Directly you can't take 0.07. If it is going beyond the limit, then only we are limiting it as 0.07. If the obtained value is something less, some 5%, 4% if you are getting, then directly exactly whatever you are going to get, that only we are going to take. Okay. So in this case, then 0.07 into 8 meter. How much it is? 5.6 meter. So the raising should be 5.6 meter. Very good. Now that is the first question, first answer. What is the second question? If the pavement is rotated about center point, which means total I have to give 5.6 meter. Okay, total I have to give 5.6 meter. Now if I am rotating about center point, what I have to give? Half of 5.6 I have to give here. Half of 5.6 I have to give here. So here it will be 0. If it is the horizontal line, half of the width we are going to raise above. It will be 2.8 meter. And half of the pavement width we are going to give below. This is also 2.5 meter. Sorry, 2.8 meter. So the slope is same. Correct? So the super elevation value is same. If you want to calculate E is equal to, what will be E now? Raising is 2.8 divided by, then what will be this value? This is also going to be half na. So this is also 4 and 4. So it will be 4. Super elevation is same. Or I can write it as 5.6 by 8. Both are same na. Okay, both are same. Their inclination is same. We are just putting half on the above of the ground, half below the ground. That's it. Understanding? Understanding? So what is the first answer? First answer will be, is it 5.6 centimeter or meter? 0.56 na? Sorry. So 0.56 meter. Okay? So it will be 0.28. Thanks for noting. So 0.28. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So first answer will be 0.56. Second answer will be 0.28 meter. We are asking in centimeter. Okay, bracket they have given in centimeter. Then which means you have to convert into centimeter. 56 and 28 will be the answer. Understanding? Understood? Is there any doubt in this question? How they can connect both the equations? We are having two equations, V square by 225R and E by B. Understood the first case na? 0.56 meter. That's what you have to give above the ground. Okay, that is the raising. So to obtain a slope, a required slope, what you have to do? You have to raise the outer edge by 0.56 meter. Okay, the same inclination. Now this is your road. Here also. So to get the same inclination, what you can do? You can either rotate about the inner edge by raising the outer edge, or the same thing you can do, just to raise it by half, 0.28 meter. And the lower edge you lower by again half, 0.28 meter. Then that means about the center we are going to put half above the ground, half below the ground. So finally our road will be something like this. You are going to get the same slope now. Instead of giving the complete value on the outer side, we are giving half on the outer side and we are lowering half on the inner side. Okay? So the same superelevation, the same slope only you are going to get. Superelevation means what? It is the slope. Same thing. Either you can do like this or you can do like this. But practically we will prefer this only. Rotating about inner edge. We will not do this practically, rotating about center. Why? Because this is your ground level. Some portion we are giving below the ground level. Na? So if some rain is happening, the water will come and accumulate at this position. There is a problem. So we practically will give rotating about inner edge only. Okay, understood? So the first answer will be 56 centimeter. Second answer will be 28 centimeter. Because in bracket they have asked in centimeter. Understood what it is? Clear na? So in which all way they can ask you the question, understood? Okay, either they can directly give the value and ask you, or they can combine those two equations like this. Okay? See, in case the pavement width, if they are not giving, then what you have to do? Then we'll assume if it is a 2 lane 7 meter, if it is a 3 lane 3 into 3.5 like that. But maximum to maximum they will give in the question itself. When to use which value means what? I didn't get you. If they are asking you friction, speed or radius, use general equation. We have done a lot of questions now. If they are asking you friction, speed or radius, use the general equation. They are asking you superelevation, sorry. They are asking you superelevation, then the direct equation. That's it. They are asking you radius or any calculation of speed or f value. Then we will use general equation. If they are asking you to find out superelevation, then we are going to use the direct equation. But for superelevation, only in one case we are going to use the general equation. What is that case? If they are telling you to assume f value is equal to some value, 0.13 or anything. Okay, if they are telling you to assume, this word is important. They are telling you to assume f is there, instead of assuming f is equal to 0. Okay, that is assume f is developed or f is acting. Generally, if they are giving in the question also, we are going to assume that f is not acting. Okay, whatever be any value, it can be till 0.15. Okay, so even if they are giving in the question, we are going to assume that it is 0, then we will use our direct equation only. But if they are giving that, assume that it is acting, which means we have to use the general equation. In all other cases, we will be using v square by 225r only. Now understood? Either you can use E by B if they are giving those values or those data in the question. Some question they ask what is the radius, which means we have to use the general equation. Okay? Thank you. In case if they are telling you to, they are not giving you the value of E and they are telling you assume the maximum value, which means in the general equation also we are going to use 0.07. Okay? Practically for designing and for providing the value on the ground for practical case, we will never use this. We will use design purpose only. That's what some limit we are giving. That's why IRC told for better design, instead of taking general equation, use this equation for better design of superelevation. That's why we are using this equation. Okay. So remember that 7% for plain terrain, 10% for hilly terrain. In case if they have not given in the question which terrain it is, whether it is a plain terrain or it is a hilly terrain, we have to use 7% because by default we are assuming that it is a plain terrain. Okay,